Hello, everyone, and welcome to Social Chats. This is episode number 9, and this is actually a reshoot. Technology is absolutely fabulous, but sometimes you do encounter different problems that come up. And in our case, when we had Laura on the show previously with episode number 9, our audio was not working. We're using Be Live TV today to do our live broadcast straight into the news feeds of Facebook, and it's very exciting. And a few weeks back, Catherine and I had a guest on the show, Laura Pearman Photography, and Laura was coming live to us from her studio in the UK, and she was gracious enough to accept our invitation again to come back and do a complete reshoot in order for us to have better quality for you, our viewers. So here we are, live on Facebook on a beautiful day here in Canada. And Laura was actually telling me that the weather is not so good right now in the UK. So a little bit about the show. Catherine and I, Keep It Simple Social Media, we like to put the show together in order to help you as a new business person that's trying to navigate your way through the social media maze, and maybe even a little bit of what we call the internet footprint that you create every day when you go online to try to market yourself or your business. And today, over the next 30 minutes, we have Laura back. And Laura Pearman is a phenomenal young lady that Catherine and I met when we were in San Diego at Social Media Marketing World 2017. And Laura stands out. Oh my gosh, she just lit up the room the first time we saw her. And you just know that you want to connect with people like that. You want to network with them because it's really obvious that they know what they're doing. And being gracious enough, Laura said, oh, I'd love to come on the show and share with your viewers some of the things that I'm doing to get started. So here I'm going to bring Laura into the studio. Let's see if we get this right. There we go. Welcome, Laura, to the show today.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be back. And isn't this sound quality so much better?
I know, right?
Yes.
Thank goodness. So Laura, Catherine and I met you down in San Diego, and we really didn't know too much about your marketing and what you were doing, except for you just had such a beautiful presence in the room, and you just were so welcoming when we met you, and just watching you throughout the day, running around with your camera and getting great photos of the people that were there. And so when we got back home to Whistler, Catherine and I looked you up on the World Wide Web. So what do? We search out your name, and there you are. We enter your website, and we're blown away. Your marketing is phenomenal, and that's coupled with your photography. So I'd love to give you the stage right now, if you wouldn't mind talking to us about your journey and how you got started and how your marketing came into play, and maybe your website and things of that nature.
Sure. So when I first started in photography, I took probably way too much of a broad attitude to marketing, which really is quite a shameful thing because I've studied marketing in the past before I even became a photographer. But when I first set up, I had a portraiture studio. My branding was really, really broad. So back then I was just Pearman Photography. It was quite a faceless brand that I had. And I was the girl who had the camera that would do photos for anyone. So you can imagine I had a marketing plan for child portraiture. I had a marketing plan for family portraiture. I had another marketing plan for the weddings, a different marketing plan for corporate, as I called it then. It wasn't commercial. And on and on and on, all of these different marketing plans. So when it came to my digital approach, I had this really boring, faceless website, and I was concentrating way too much on being safe with my marketing. And you get too bogged down in being safe and plain and generic, and guess what? You just disappear. And it just becomes really, really bland, like the worst bowl of porridge you've ever had in your life. And I quickly realized, hey, this ain't working. It's not going to go. No one's really picking up on what I'm about and why I'm so passionate about photography. Why is that? So after a while, I figured out I'm going to have to really shout about what I do and stand out and take a stand. So I started and I niched it right down. So the first thing that I think I stopped doing was the wedding photography, because for me, that just didn't light me up. It didn't float me, my boat. It really just didn't set me on fire. And I slowly got rid of one service after the other. And what did set me on fire was headshots photography. And because I had that background in marketing, what I found I also really loved doing was on-brand headshots photography. So I eventually found myself in this place, Heather, where it was time for me to do a rebrand. So I got together with a graphic designer and a website designer, and we had this whole new project ahead of us, this big rebrand. And I wanted to get really, really personal and put myself on the line, which was a real scary thing to do. You can imagine, as a small business owner, oh my God, I'm going to change it to Laura Pearman Photography. That was a huge step for me. But to put myself out there, and that's when the whole lips thing came out, the fact that I do say mwah to everyone all of the time, I call everyone doll or darling, that's just who I am. And people were feeding this back to me when we were going through this rebranding process, and they were like, your brand's already there, you just have to put yourself out there a little bit more. And it all kind of started to come together because I was using these trusted suppliers. So I would probably say that to people if they were looking at trying to niche themselves down, or if they were trying to tweak their marketing a little bit and start to take a bit more of a stand and put yourself out there. Definitely.
Excellent. Let me just hide this so it cleans up the screen a little bit. There we go. I liked what you were saying and about the fact that you had your business going, like so many of us. We're out there working, and you realized that you can't be all to everyone, and you needed to go back to the drawing board to figure out what your niche really was, and to start getting rid of the things that were, I guess, weighing you down from being who you are.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we get into small business because we have there's this thing that's pulling us away from being employees. You have to take a real leap of faith to do that in the first place. But then when we have taken that leap of faith, for some reason, a lot of us think, oh God, I have to play it safe now. I have to just get some money coming in, and I need a good, safe cash flow. And then because we've done that, we then go really, really safe with the marketing. No, damn it. You've got to still be brave. You've got to put yourself out there with your brand. That's why you're not punching a clock. You've got to just have conviction.
What I think it is you embraced who you are, and you are so comfortable in yourself, and it works.
Yes. And even more so, the further and further I go with this is I've got to the point now where I'm saying no to people in business. Now, if you had said this to the Laura, 2.5, 3 years ago, where I'm turning people away, first of all, it was no, I don't shoot that. No, I'm not a food photographer. No, I don't do weddings, but I can recommend another photographer. I would never have done that, Heather. Be like, yeah, sure, I can do that. There's money in that job. Damn it, I'll shoot it. No problem. But I had a great opportunity the other week where Kodak We all know Kodak.
Yes,
Kodak
yes.
contacted me and they were like, we've got a food photography job for you. And I was like, no, I don't shoot food photography. Why the hell would I do that? But me 2.5 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, it's a job with Kodak. Of course
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. But I'm a headshots photographer. If Kodak came to me and said, look, Laura, we've got a job for you and it's headshots. Yes, boom, let's do it. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about sticking on brand and pushing it forward. And I'm even getting to that point now where I'm toying with the idea of turning certain headshots jobs away. Because it's not totally within the brand, but I'm dicing around with that now. I'm not 100% there yet, but it's something I'm talking about with my coach, where I've had a couple of jobs that haven't totally set me on fire creatively, and I'm thinking, why was that? Why did that happen? But it's we're going there.
Niche.
Yeah, niching it down even further.
Hey, Laura, one of the things that really stood out for me when I was looking at your website, I love what you've done with video. It's amazing. And you're drawing your clients into the whole scheme of things. So it's not, eye-centric, it's helpful. How did you start that?
Well, I follow a gentleman called Pascal Fintoni. So anyone who's checking this out should go and look up Pascal Fintoni. He is one of these guys who does a lot of video training, and I've checked him out and been to some of his training over the years. And one thing he said in one of the trainings that I went to, I remember when Periscope first came out, and he was showing me, like, this is Periscope and this is how you use it. And Periscope's done this, hasn't it? And then gone away. But the principles of it, he was saying, if you want to have a really good show, you need to ask real life people to ask real life questions. And it gives you so much more authority and so much more credence, instead of just thinking, I've had a lot of emails over the years where people have said, tell me about this part of photography, or tell me about this, style of what it is you do in headshots. And I thought, do you know what? I love what Pascal says. I really value what it is that he does. He's a professional videographer. Damn it, I'm going to follow that. So at first I reached out to my close network and I said, what is it about headshots photography that freaks you out? Or have you always wondered something about a camera and how photography works? And a few of them came back to me and asked me a question. So that was what gave me the basis for my vlog show, Heather. And I said, in return, as thank you very much for, taking the time to think up the question, let me give you something back. So it's a little bit like the basics of networking. We've all been to those networking events in your local town where you give each other the business card, or you give each other a little shout out on social media. That's starting to finally happen now. So I thought I'll do that on the vlog show. And I've seen, the big people like Marie Forleo or Gary Vaynerchuk, they do that. So I'll give it a go myself. I'm not there yet, but I'll give them a shout out. So I say to people when they're on my vlog show, what is it that you're really trying to grow big on the most? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Do you have a YouTube channel that I can share with the people who are watching the question? So it's given people that little incentive to want to ask me a question in the first place, as well as obviously the fact that they might want the answer to the question itself. So it's that, give and take, as well as me giving an answer. And that has really given steam to this whole show. So now I've got to the point now where I have, 10, 20 questions at any one time, which then also gives me the ability to do this batch element to the show. So I have the ability to do a batch recording day and then a batch editing day. And now I outsource other parts of the show, which makes the whole creation of it a lot easier, given that I'm a small business owner.
Yeah, and you're busy taking photography, but you started it yourself and you built it from there. And I'll tell you, your clients are giving you when you have a moment and you have time to shoot a video, you've got everything you need because you have their questions, which brings them back into the show, and it kind of gives them a little bit of a spotlight as well for you.
Yes, yeah. And do you have polo mints over in Canada? You know, the little mints with the holes in them? Do you have them there?
I don't think so. I'm not quite sure what
them.
that is.
So it's like a candy, but it's a mint flavor.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We do
have those.
Them. I remember when I was in the UK last year, I brought a whole bunch of mints back. Actually, I think I got them in Scotland.
Yeah, so you suck them and then eventually you can put them on the end of your tongue. It's something that we used to do at school all the time. I have a point, okay? Bear with me. So I remember studying, I think it was when I was doing a little module on public relations way back in like 2000, right? But I remember my lecturer, Dave Gannon. How can I remember that guy's name? But Dave Gannon was talking about one of the most powerful advertising commercials that they did. And they ended up screening them in the cinema, so in the movie theaters. And it was for Polo Mint. That was the client. Okay. And all it was, you know, the presenter of the show, it was a fake show. And they were like, take a polo. So people would take a polo and go, yeah, it's quite nice. And that was it. That was, you know, they were sucking on this polo mint and that was it. And he was saying, you know, his whole lecture series, I think there was like 3 damn lectures based on this one commercial. And he was saying, you know, this is what a testimonial is. This is, you know, the power of it. And I remembered this and I was thinking, well, you know, they're just sucking a mint, like, come on. But this is what I also do with video. So this is the point that I'm making. Whenever I shoot my clients with the headshots, I ask them, you know, do you want to wait until you've seen the pictures and then maybe we can agree a different time? And if you're happy with the final product, then we can meet again and maybe have a cocktail or we have a cup of coffee and then we can video you telling the people, your followers, if you enjoyed working with me. Or sometimes what people do, if they have a really busy schedule and I have the camera there, I bring along the tripod and I bring along the little lav mic that I have and we mic them up there and then at the end of the shoot after it's wrapped, just before we get a cocktail or a glass of wine. And I say, okay, so talk to the camera now and say if you enjoyed the pictures and you enjoyed the experience of the shoot. Or sometimes I say to people, what stood out about my service? And I have no idea what they're going to say. So it's my version of this Polo Mint commercial, but it's another way of injecting the element of video into what it is that I do. Even though I'm a headshots photographer, it's having that little element of video because let's face it, video is where it's at right now throughout all of business.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, are we not hearing that over and over? And you talking about bringing testimonials in as part of your marketing package, are you putting them on your website as well?
No, I have them on my YouTube channel as one reel. And I've just bought, do you follow Brian Fanzo, iSocial Fans?
Yes, yeah.
So I am obsessed with the way that he works. And I just bought a load of those big A1 flip charts. Okay, and I have this idea now that I'm going to cover these walls that you see behind me with flip charts and I'm going to sort out all of my processes. And part of this thing is going to be that I'm going to add these testimonials. I'm going to get them recut so that they're the correct length for Twitter. So we're going to see them on Twitter soon. Oh. Watch this space.
And you're using Twitter a lot. I
love Twitter. Yeah. Twitter is the cocktail party. Don't you think?
Rapid fire.
Yeah. And I think if you are social as if you were at a cocktail party on Twitter, it is really a lot of fun. You know, you can see what's going on in the news and, you know, avoid the bad news. I like the fun news, like the silly things that are happening, you know, like woman makes giant cake, and you can share that piece of news and have a chat about it with people. Or if you're following somebody with a particular business agenda and you notice that they shared something particularly witty, you can make a beeline for them as if you were in a cocktail party, and imagine you have a martini in your hand and walk up to them and say, "So I heard this about you. How the hell is that going?" And before you know it, you're exchanging a little bit of a fun conversation, and then you might see them the next night in the cocktail party again.
Yeah, it's funny because I have been following you on Twitter. We're not huge on Twitter in our smaller area. It works a lot better, I think, in large population areas. But we are using Twitter more and more. Generally, we live on Facebook. Our business is Facebook marketing, and now Facebook owns Instagram. So we've married the two of them together in a nice little package. And back to your videos, we've started using video testimonial every time that we work with clients right afterwards. You know, Catherine's here right now. She's popped on the line. And
oh, hey, Catherine.
Good morning. I hope you're not too sunburnt out there at the lake.
I know. I'm so jealous.
Those little candies, lifesavers. Are they?
Oh, you call them lifesavers there. That's right.
They're fruity, more fruity than the ones that you're talking about that are the peppermint ones. But Catherine's like, those are lifesavers. The kids love them.
Oh, I see. You have to save me some. And then next time we see each other in the flesh, we'll do like an international exchange of the mints.
Well, we're definitely going to see you in San Diego next year, yes. But we've also invited you here to Canada.
It's on the cards. I feel it.
Good. Another thing that we noticed that you did really well was you draw your clients into your social media, and thereby they're also helping promote your business by talking about their experience with you. Yeah.
So in what way are you talking to on a certain platform, do you mean, or?
And I'm not sure which platforms you would be using, but when you're doing a photo shoot with your clients and after they're happy with their photos and everything, then you guys do a little bit of a promotion with that on your social media. I mean, it's giving you huge exposure.
Different clients are different. You know, some absolutely love it. So I can think of one lady we were doing a session with just the other week where I was sharing we did like a whole Instagram live story throughout the session. So while we were kind of meandering through Newcastle here in the northeast of the UK, and we were snapping away using my phone. So I was tagging her in on my Instagram live story, and then I downloaded that story and broadcast it to Facebook. So she's really hot on social media. So she took that and she ran with it. So she shared that to her Facebook page, and I think she was probably doing her own Instagram story throughout the day as well. But yeah, different clients do that in their own special way depending on what their social media is. Now, on my Hire To services, what I do is I actually embody a social media campaign. So I have one session coming up at the moment for a client, and it's part of the service. So on my Shawam and the full Shawami headshots, I have my makeup artist, my hair artist, and also the stylist. We meet in advance of the session and we talk about the social media that we're going to do in the run up to the session. And then we talk about what we're going to do during the day. If the client, they might have already decided if they have a certain hashtag for their business, we know in advance and then during the shoot what that hashtag is. So we will use that throughout all of our social media. And then in the follow-up, there's a full-on like a long form blog that I write up, and then the client has all of that social media. So the shoot itself becomes a social media event too. So I think that was what we were talking about last time when we didn't have the great sound. So the Shawam is dialed back a little, but the full Shawami, you can imagine if that's going on all day long with all of the suppliers involved in the shoot, everyone's throughout it at it on their phone, it really adds a lot of steam, in addition to the fact that the client's also getting their headshots done. So that's something that I do. And I think that's quite unique. I know a lot of photographers do some social media, but I have it fully implemented throughout the session and as part of the service.
You've created a business plan to make sure you get the most out of everything that you're doing. It's phenomenal. How much time is this taking?
Well, it's something that I've developed over probably the last 2 years. So it was something that I thought, hang on a second, why have I not planned this correctly as a process? Because if I get myself organized, it's going to be a lot more straightforward. So, I was talking about the Fanzo inspired flip chart processes. I have what I call workflows, and they are built into my CRM system. So I use a CRM system called Light Blue Software, and that is a CRM that's specifically designed for photographers. So what you can do in that CRM system is you can design your own workflows. So I tweak those workflows depending on what service the client has selected. So that's something that we're just about to revisit. Me and my virtual assistant, we're going to sort those out. So part of that is the big flip charts, but part of the workflow. I use yes, and I have my business coach as well, who I couldn't survive without. So I have different teams around me, but part of that workflow, now traditionally what you would do in a photographer's workflow is you would have, confirm the shoot, go out and shoot the session, come home, backup images, edit images, backup images, give images to clients. So what I do is I do this, and I integrate all of the social media stuff. So tweet, Instagram, write blog, all of that becomes part of the photographer's workflow.
That brings me to the question I've been wanting to ask you. Which social network do you favor?
Oh, don't make me choose. So when we last spoke, this is classic like Gemini now, what you're going to get from me. When we last spoke, I was totally in love with Instagram. I still love Instagram, but right now I think I'm back to Twitter. I'm loving Twitter right now. And I'm sure next time we speak, I'll be back in love with another social media. I just love chatting to all sorts of different people in different ways. I'm totally not on Snapchat anymore. I've ditched that. It was a very small, quick love affair that I had with Snapchat, but it came into my life and then it left again. I do love an Instagram story, but right now I'm not feeling the Instagram posts so much. So
you are very good at Instagram stories. I absolutely love your one that you did.
I love being like really real on an Instagram story. I'm sure that's like irreverent because Instagram's very much, I see Instagram as like the cool gallery of the world. And I feel like I'm being so irreverent and being like, this is me with no makeup on. Or your
cat shots.
Yeah, me sharing Suki being, not loving me as the way I want to be loved.
Well, you know what, Laura, I have to tell you, I'm over here in Canada and you're in the UK, and you have got front screen and center with your stories in my Instagram feed. So you are marketing in North America right now.
And I'll keep up with the irreverence.
So Laura is doing stories, and for those of you that aren't quite sure with Instagram, it's relatively new, the stories, but it puts you front and center in the little round ball on the Instagram. So when you're on your account, you can see your stream, your news feed with everyone posting, but the little round circles at the top, those are Instagram stories, and they're just little snippets of a story of someone's day. And Laura has been doing those phenomenally.
That's right. And I think it's almost, I see it as like the unpolished you, whereas like your feed it's like a gallery wall. That's how I see it in my mind. I don't know about you, Heather, but I see it as the gallery wall is like the piece of art that you've been working on, and then when it's ready, you do this and you put it up on your wall, and you're like, that's my piece of work. But the story is kind of like what's going on behind the scenes. It's like you cleaning your paintbrushes and sharpening the pencils and all of that stuff. So I like to be a little sillier on the story.
And on top of those stories being a flash behind the scenes, what we're doing, shooting live on Facebook, that's very scary for a lot of people. And even, I don't know how you feel about it, but it's a little intimidating because it's not scripted. And
not at all.
We're just going live and talking. And you never know what's going to go wrong or how it's looking or any of those things. But it's technology, and it's helping us market both yourself in the UK and us here in Canada throughout the world, actually.
That's right. Yeah, it's totally true. And it's also, you know, a beautiful thing as well. I feel like when you're doing live broadcast, you all of a sudden get a quick affinity for all of the live television you've ever seen for your whole entire life. You suddenly realize what all of those broadcasters have gone through. But there's a certain fun in it, you know. You just embrace the fun quality to it.
I haven't ventured to YouTube Live yet. I do download these live social chat episodes to YouTube, but I actually haven't done my live YouTube at this point. Have you?
No, I haven't tried YouTube Live. I need to think of some kind of creative reason for it, and then I'm on board. I need to come up with a why, and then I'll do it.
Well, you're really good at coming up with your storyboards for your marketing and everything else. So I bet you it's no time at all. Send me a tweet and let me know when you're doing it so I can support you and watch your show.
Oh, thank you so much. I will. I need the flip chart. When the flip chart arrives, I'll have no excuse then.
And I know Catherine's loving the flip chart. She's probably jumping up and down. She just bought a new house, and she's making a studio for our workshop and our shooting in the house. So I know she's going to be all over the flip chart idea.
Yeah, if you build it, it will come.
Yes, we are at the top of the half hour there, Laura. That just zipped right.
Oh, already! Wow, that really did zip by.
Yeah, and it sounds like our sound worked really well this time, and we touched base on some phenomenal information. And for small businesses or people getting started, you know, go to Laura's website. We always add it into the comment section below. And, you know, the thing that we need to do as business people is we need to study the people that have it right and look at what it is they're doing. And we start small. I mean, Laura didn't start with this huge library of beautiful videos and everything else. She started with her talent of photography. And then she had to draw in her marketing, and then she brought her clients into it. But what's working is you found your niche, Laura, and from within yourself.
Yeah, you've got to figure out what it is that you do so well, and figure out why you do it in the first place. That's 100% the best takeaway, I think, for this show.
We really appreciate you coming back and spending your time with us here in Canada from the UK. And of course, we're going to stay in touch over the next year. And
of course, yes. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Laura, you take care.
Okay, thank you. See you later, everyone.
Bye-bye. Mwah. Well, that was Laura Pearman, and we are at our 30 minutes on Social Chats. This was episode number 9, and it was a reshoot because if you don't get it right at first, you try again, and you keep working on things. Don't forget that you're welcome to ask your questions in the comment section below. We tend to get most of our viewers well after the show, and we do come back. And all we're trying to do here at Keep It Simple Social Media is to add value to your business life and help you be found on the World Wide Web. My name is Heather, and remember everyone, let's keep it simple.